I dress myself in cashmere. Woo!
The lights fade in over the golden ropes of the squared circle. A robe glitters under the spotlight, white feathers shimmering like the wings of a peacock. A man stands there, arms stretched wide, his voice echoing through arenas across decades. Whoa! That single sound became more than a catchphrase. It became a declaration of style, survival, and success. This is the story of Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, the man who turned charisma into an art form and pain into legacy. Ric Flair was born Richard Morgan Fleer on February 25, 1949, in Memphis, Tennessee. His life began with mystery, adopted through the Tennessee Children's Home Society, an organization later exposed for illegal adoptions. From the very start, Ric's story was touched by fate and survival. Growing up in Minnesota, he was drawn not to fame, but to the thrill of athletic competition. He played football and wrestling through school, where his passion for showmanship first appeared. In the early 1970s, Ric joined Vern Gagney's wrestling camp, one of the toughest training schools in America. The world of professional wrestling then was brutal. Long road trips, no guarantees, constant pain. But Flair had something different. He had charisma that couldn't be taught. He had a laugh, a walk, a sparkle in his eye that told the audience, this man was born to entertain. But destiny tested him early. In 1975, a plane carrying several wrestlers crashed in Wilmington, North Carolina. The crash broke Ric's back in 3 places. Doctors told him he would never wrestle again. For most people, that would have been the end. But for Ric Flair, it was the beginning of his legend. Through excruciating pain and relentless therapy, he returned to the ring just 8 months later. That comeback wasn't just physical, it was mental, spiritual. It was a symbol of the determination that would define his entire career. When Flair stepped back into the ring, he wasn't the same man. He had evolved into the Nature Boy, borrowing the nickname from Buddy Rogers but turning it into his own masterpiece. The robes got flashier, the strut more confident, the woo louder and wilder. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was wrestling personified. Throughout the 1980s, Ric Flair became the face of the National Wrestling Alliance, the heart of Jim Crockett Promotions, and the standard-bearer of WCW. Every night, he defended the World Heavyweight Championship, traveling town to town, country to country, wrestling for 60 minutes a night, carrying the banner of professional wrestling on his back. He wasn't just competing. He was crafting moments that would echo for generations. His matches with Ricky Steamboat, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, and Sting are still studied as lessons in psychology, emotion, and pure performance. Flair brought storytelling to the ring. Every punch, every fall, every defiant scream told the story of a man who refused to break. Outside the ring, Ric Flair lived as loud as he performed. The limousines, the champagne, the designer suits. He embodied excess, and he knew it. Diamonds are forever, and so is Ric Flair, he once said. It wasn't arrogance. It was theater. He lived the life his character demanded, and for fans, it was magic. But behind the woo, behind the flashing lights, there was a man who also faced deep struggles. Flair's life off-camera was filled with turbulence, financial troubles, personal losses, and battles with his own identity when the cheers faded. The hardest blow came in 2013, when his son, Ric Flair, passed away. It broke him in ways no opponent ever could. Yet somehow, he found the strength to go on, to honor Reed's memory by being a symbol of survival. Even when doctors told him years later that his body could not handle another match, Ric Flair stood once again in the ring, not to prove something to others, but to remind himself of who he was. The Nature Boy never quit. The world had seen him rise, fall, and rise again. That's what made his story real. Flair's legacy stretches far beyond wrestling. He became a pop culture icon, referenced in music, television, and even rap lyrics. From athletes to artists, everyone wanted to live like the Nature Boy. Because he represented something universal. The idea that no matter how many times life knocks you down, if you've got the courage, the style, and the heart, you can stand back up and say, "Whoa." In his 70s, Ric Flair remains a living legend. His influence can be seen in the modern superstars of WWE and AEW, wrestlers who grew up watching him, studying his promos, mimicking his walk. Every championship belt raised in triumph carries a piece of Flair's legacy. Ric Flair didn't just redefine wrestling, he made it larger than life. He showed that being a champion isn't just about winning titles. It's about living with passion, no matter the pain. His life is proof that greatness isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. From the boy who was told he'd never wrestle again, to the man who became a 16-time world champion, Flair's journey is a reminder that style, grace, and confidence aren't just about how you look, they're about how you survive. And as the lights dim once more, and the echoes of that famous "whoa" fade into the night, the world remembers a man who gave his soul to the ring and his heart to the people. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy, a symbol of resilience, of glory, of life lived at full volume. Because when you live like Ric Flair, every fall is just a setup for the greatest comeback. Whoa.